So it was 1982 on the day I was born. And the sun had shone high on that day, rode the waves of the ocean like a sailor coming home, or so I'd like to believe. And these first few years, they were a bit of a blur. My mind, like a sponge, soaked up life itself. My legs, like machine cogs, sank themselves into gear. My mouth spoke with tongues of angels before it learnt to speak human. And in those days, my parents, well, they were like gods. Their words, divine truth, their rules, the commandments, their love, transcendent. And in those days, we'd sit around the kitchen table, listen to scripture from father, eating meatloaf from mother, like pilgrims asking questions of why. And that table, it became the pulpit of my father, where the lessons of life were expounded through the night, and mother's dishes made their way into empty legs, and dad's sermons echoed down the corridors of eager minds as we learnt to see the world as dad saw it and came to know God as dad knew him. At that table, we broke bread. At that table, we talked report cards. At that table, we drank orange and mango cordial. At that table, we were told the name of God. At that table, we were baptized in his love. At that table, dad was never wrong. That table was built damn strong. And yet children grow up and teenagers can't settle. Dad's answers didn't always fit or flow or dance where I felt they should. And so as a teen, I felt more like a child with no way to express the unwinding gold that danced in my soul and called me ever onward. And so that table was pushed back and forth and back and forth and back and forth until crack. See, at the table we learnt the laws and ate the rules and drank the doctrines, but they were never enough for me. That table that held all the answers for my dad who too once cracked open his own father's table and spent years constructing the one we now sit around. And so in those days of the cracked table, I was like the whisper trying to find a voice. I was like the ants pondering the elephant that is God, asking questions that would stop the world and demand that someone pay attention as we scream our tantrums at this God that doesn't seem to fit into what he is meant to, and our frail bodies and frail minds that trick us into thinking we are far smarter and so much larger than any doubt that would invade us and trick us into an eternity of torment in the arms of our certainties and certitudes, making assumptions that become doctrines and theologies embedded in that wooden table that may as well have been stone. We scream our tantrums at this God, but now I see the God that I screamed at looked a whole lot more like my father and just a little like me. You see, this table could not fit the one that it was dedicated to, could not keep the God that was always sneaking out from underneath cups of coffee and playing in sugar bowls of jelly and tipping over glasses and smashing rules and breaking dogmas. This God was never a good dinner guest. So in those days when I dined with this God, my father's table had split in two, cracking down its spine, splintering dreams in my mind of questions without answers and the paradoxes of a God I could not see and yet could taste. And this God that I met was like parched lips tasting mountain water, like running hands through golden fields, like Palestinian peace meals, like pouring wine through this heart, like taking every piece of that damn table apart. And so now the table is gone, but the space that it occupied in my life is still alive. For the mystery that I have found is in the hole that is left by its absence, and the God that I have met is still the God of my father yet. Yet now he looks nothing like him and way too much like me. Thank you.